rear axle or differential, banjo type, repair or overhaul. Let us understand the main components of banjo type automotive differential. This is a gear carrier housing. This is a differential. These are side gears and bevel pinions. These are differential side bearings and the bearing caps. The ring gear and the pinion. This is inner pinion bearing. The pinion positioning shims. Collapsible spacer and the outer pinion bearing. This is a companion flange and this is a dust shield. Before moving ahead, let us understand few parameters. Remember, ring and pinion gears in differential assembly are matched sets to achieve perfect contact pattern. What is a backlash in differential assembly? Backlash is the amount of clearance between ring gear teeth and pinion gear teeth. Now let us see the pinion height setting procedure for banjo type differential axle. For pinion height setting, there are two situations, and for both the situations, we have to follow different procedures. The first situation is original housing plus new hypered pair. And the second situation is new housing plus old hypered pair. Original housing plus new hypered pair. In the first situation, that is original housing plus new pinion, we need to note down the thickness of the existing shim pack. Check and note the Z value east on the old pinion top surface. Also note down the same Z value east on the new pinion. We know that the ring and pinion gears are supplied as matched sets. Z value is drive pinion gears depth variance. Z value is plus, minus or 0 number showing depth variation from standard depth setting 0. If we get Z value as plus 5 on original pinion head and we check and get the same Z value as plus 5 on the new pinion, then we can replace the pinion directly without any shim adjustment. compensation for pinion depth variance is achieved with selected shims. If we find the difference between the Z values of both pinions, use the formula original pinion Z reading minus new pinion Z reading. Example 1. Thickness of the existing shim pack is 1.24 mm. Old pinion Z value is plus 2 thou. New pinion Z value is plus 3 thou. The number represents thousandths of an inch. Now we can calculate the shim pack size with the help of formula. Original pinion Z reading minus new pinion Z reading. That is 2 minus 3, that is minus 1 thou. Convert thou in millimeters. 1 thou is equal to 0.0254 millimeters and 1 millimeter is equal to 39 thou. That is 1 thou is equal to 1 into 0.0254, that is 0.0254 millimeter. Final shim pack size is 1.24 minus 0.0254, that is 1.2146 millimeters, or 1.2146 into 39, that is 47.3694 thou. The exact values are provided in a standard chart. This is a pinion height adjustment chart. The Z value east on the original pinion are provided to the left side. The Z value each on the new pinions are provided on the top. And these are shim sizes to be adjusted in the original shim pack. Pinion outer bearing preload. To maintain the pinion outer bearing preload, collapsible spacer is used. The pinion preload is measured in terms of pinion rotational torque. Specification for the PTTR variant wise is as follows. For Xylo and Conto, 1.8 to 2.6 Nm. For SKF bearing and 2.4 to 3.2 Nm for FJ bearing. For TUV300 and Neosport, 1.9 to 3 Nm for Timken bearing. To achieve the same, following torque is to be applied on lock nut. For Xylo and Conto, 298 to 678 Nm, and for TUV300 and Neosport, 165 to 400 Nm. Remember to replace the collapsible spacer every time we remove the pinion nut for any reason. New housing plus old hypoid pair. In second situation, if we replace only housing, we need to follow this procedure. Take a new empty housing. Mount this housing vertically on the work stand. This is a pinion height master block 0502 DAA 0003 ST. Locate this master block vertically in the housing pinion bore. This is a pinion height setting gauge 0502 DAA 0002 ST. Place this gauge on the top of the pinion height master block in the crown wheel bore. Ensure that no gap exists between carrier surface and height setting gauge. Calculate the actual depth reading in dial gauge. Note down this reading, say X. Also note the Z value east on the existing pinion, say plus Y or minus Y. We can find out the shim size for height setting with the help of following calculations. Dial gauge reading x minus z value, that is plus y or minus y. For example, if actual depth reading in dial gauge x is equal to 1.51 mm, convert millimeter into thou, that is 1.51 into 39, that is 58.89, that is 59 thou. Z value east on pinion top y is equal to plus 4. Then final shim size is x minus y, that is 59 minus plus 4, that is 55 thou. Convert thou in millimeters, that is 55 into 0.0254, that is 1.397, that is 1.40 millimeters. Assemble existing pinion with this shim size. Pinion outer bearing preload. To maintain the pinion outer bearing preload, collapsible spacer is used. The pinion preload is measured in terms of pinion rotational torque. Specification for the PTTR variant wise is as follows. For Xylo and Conto, 1.8 to 2.6 Nm. For SKF bearing and 2.4 to 3.2 Nm for FJ bearing. For TUV300 and Neosport, 1.9 to 3 Nm for Timken bearing. To achieve the same, following torque is to be applied on lock nut. For Xylo and Conto, 298 to 678 Nm, and for TUV300 and Neosport, 165 to 400 Nm. Remember to replace the collapsible spacer every time we remove the pinion nut for any reason. Pinion positioning shims location. Remember, for Mahindra vehicles Neosport and TUV300, the pinion positioning shim location is below pinion head bearing cup in the housing. Similarly, in the vehicles like Xylo and Conto, the pinion positioning shim location is between pinion head and pinion head bearing cone. Now we'll see the method of backlash setting in ring gear and pinion. We know that the ring and pinion gears in differential assembly are matched sets to achieve the perfect contact pattern. And backlash is the amount of clearance between the ring gear teeth and pinion gear teeth. Too little backlash could cause the gears to jam, and too much backlash could cause noise concerns. Take differential housing with pinion. Take differential assembly. Locate differential assembly along with dummy bearings 0502 CAA 0001 ST without ring gear and shims in the differential housing. Place dial indicator with magnetic base on housing. Locate the tip of the dial gauge indicator on the surface of differential assembly parallel to the housing top and perpendicular to the differential case flange. Force differential assembly to the extreme in the direction towards the indicator. And with force still applied, set indicator at 0 in the dial. After adjusting dial to 0, force differential assembly slowly to the extreme end in opposite direction to measure total travel. Repeat this step until we get the same reading for total travel. Note down this reading of total travel without ring gear as A. Remove dial indicator. Remove differential assembly from housing. Remove dummy bearings. Assemble ring gear to differential case. Torque value to tighten the ring gear is for Xylo and Conto 129 to 142 Nm and for TUV 300 and Neosport 86 to 96 Nm. Assemble dummy bearing on differential case. Place this differential assembly into housing. Place dial indicator with magnetic base on housing. Locate tip of dial gauge indicator on the surface of one of the ring gear bolt head parallel to the housing top and perpendicular to the differential assembly. Force differential case assembly away from the pinion gear in the direction towards the indicator. With force still applied, set indicator at 0 in the dial. Force differential case assembly and ring gear towards pinion gear to measure left hand side travel. Repeat these steps until we get the same reading for left hand side travel. Note down this reading of left hand side travel with ring gear as B. Now we have two values with us and those values are total travel without ring gear, that is A, left hand side travel with ring gear, that is B. We can get right hand side travel as C with the help of the following calculation. Right hand side travel C is equal to total travel A minus left hand side travel B. Final shim pack size calculation. If total travel A is equal to 4.47 mm, left hand side travel B 2.40 mm, calculate right hand side travel from the formula C is equal to A minus B. C is equal to 4.47 mm minus 2.40 mm, that is C is equal to 2.07 mm. Now we can calculate total shim pack size required for a backlash setting. We need to add or remove constant values for backlash and preloading from the final shim pack size. For backlash, add 0.15 mm to the right hand side travel reading. C plus 0.15 mm. Subtract 0.15 mm from left hand side travel reading. B minus 0.15 mm. For preloading, add 0.075 mm shim to both right hand side and left hand sides of preloading of the side bearings. Considering all these points, our final shim pack size is for RH side shim, the right hand side travel C plus preloading value plus backlash value, that is 2.07 plus 0.075 plus 0.15, that is 2.295. Right hand side shim is equal to 2.295 mm. For left hand side shim, left hand side travel B plus preloading value minus backlash value, that is 2.40 plus 0.075 minus 0.15, that is 2.325. Left hand side shim is 2.325 mm. After shim size calculations, remove dial gauge. Take out the differential assembly along with dummy bearings. Remove dummy bearings and insert differential side bearings. Insert right hand side and left hand side shims as per the calculations outside the bearing. Mount differential case assembly into carrier with the help of mallet. Assemble bearing caps. Adjust dial gauge on ring gear parallel to housing top and perpendicular to the face of convex side tooth profile with the help of magnetic dial gauge stand. Check ring gear and pinion backlash with dial indicator. Remember the backlash limit is for Xylo and Conto 0.12 to 0.20 mm and for TUV300 and Neosport 0.08 and 0.15 mm. If it is within our specified limit, then the assembly is okay and ready to use. High backlash is corrected by moving ring gear closer to pinion. Low backlash is corrected by moving ring gear away from pinion. These corrections are made by switching shims from one side of the differential case to other. Backlash setting shims location. For Mahindra vehicles Xylo, Conto, Neosport and TUV300, the backlash setting shims are placed below differential bearing cup in the gear carrier housing.